Hello, it's Guido coming at you with a bit of a tank review, my friends. We are going to review the Concept 5. I just finished the 100 Battle Challenge in it. We'll do kind of a mini review here, go over it very quickly, do a comparison against the Leopard, which I think is about the closest thing that you'll get play-wise. And then I've got one game to show you, a fairly mediocre game. But I'm going to, if you don't want to watch the rest of it, I find this to be a very average tank at best to slightly below average, and its strengths are things that don't really matter that much in World of Tanks on most of the maps and most of the matches you're in. So very Leopard-esque. If you don't want to watch the rest of the video, then that's pretty much it, my friends. Pretty much it. How did I end up with this thing? Let's see. We got 54% win rate. I did have a significant drop. I was running about 57, 58%. Lost quite a few in the last 10 battles. The low experience, that's pretty low. 805, that's not good. So what that says is I probably got carried. More than likely, I probably shouldn't even be at 54% with that low, because you're also looking at a 2000 DPG, which is atrocious at tier 10. I had a hard time getting this thing going a lot of times. Hits percentage is pretty high at 75. Accurate gun. Damage and destruction ratio are okay. Armor use, nothing, 0.08. It just doesn't have any, guys. It's a very soft tank, very vulnerable to HE, extremely vulnerable to artillery. It doesn't have really great gun depression, so it's not really a hold down guy. It's painful, fellas. It's painful. In fact, enemy vehicles destroyed is less than 1-to-1. So I got killed more than I killed. Terrible. We'll talk about the setup here real quickly. I was running the the experimental turbo on it. I was running a CVS and optics, and I did have a second setup that was more combat oriented, which had vert stab, rammer, and still used the experimental turbo thing. So if I got on Himmelsdorf, I'd set up the combat setup. Most of the time I was running more of a vision setup. Honestly, that may have had something to do with, because for a long time I ran just the vision setup. May have had something to do with kind of my poor performance, to be honest, because this just isn't a scout. It kind of looks like it. You might think it is. It's a wheeled tank. It doesn't do that very well. It has atrocious camo. It's just a great big old medium tank, and it doesn't carry camo while it moves like the light tanks do. So this was a mixed bag at best. I did have some luck with the combat setup, with the firepower setup on some of those maps, but then think about that. You're on, say, Himmelsdorf or Ruinberg or something where you're not as worried about the vision, but you're running this thing, right? So you're still eating shots because it can't bounce pretty much anything. Let's take a quick look at a comparison, because I have noted a couple times that it's very Leopard-esque. So what do we got here? This was telling, friends. This was telling. The Leopard, 420 alpha, this thing's a 430, so it has 10 more. It's got less penetration on the standard round. It is running APCR. Gun loading, don't ask me why. It's almost a full, 2 seconds and some change more, 2.5 seconds more than the Leopard. Why? I don't know. Because the Leopard's sitting at 28.26 on DPM, and this thing gets 22.53. I can't for the life of me come up with a decent reason of any kind why this thing should have that bad of DPM as compared to the Leopard. It has less gun depression. Its aiming time is more. Its accuracy is worse. And it's got significantly less DPM. This is horrendous at tier 10. Atrocious. It's unbelievable. You know, if you look at the balancing things, you're like, all right, okay, great. So we have balanced stuff. Your gun's maybe not as good. What great little feature does the Concept 5 have? Oh, I don't know. It's got a 150 turret, and the Leopard 1 has 52. That is just irrelevant. Doesn't matter. This could be 170, and it wouldn't matter, to be quite honest. It's bizarre, frankly. Just bizarre. But no armor to speak of. The turret, you saw my percentage, 0.08. 150 or 1 doesn't really matter at tier 10. Obviously, it might if you're talking about triple overmatch and HE and all that good stuff. So at least the turret. The one thing you can say about it over the Leopard is the turret won't be lull pinned by HE like the Leopard might sometimes. Great. That's fantastic. Mobility wise, it does 65. The Leopard's faster, tractive vehicle. It's the reverse speed is nice, 32. There you go. We've found one thing that the Concept 5 is definitively better at, and that is going backwards. That's fantastic. That's just great. Traverse speed is worse at 41. That's not great. That's the whole traverse. The turret does move quickly. It does have an advantage over the Leopard on the turret traverse. And then we look at the camo, atrocious. 10, 7 while moving, close to 8, I guess, really. I mean, what do we have? We just have a worse Leopard, guys. A worse Leopard. It does Leopard things worse. And the things the Leopard does are not relevant on many of the maps. So you have a worse Leopard that's already irrelevant on so many of the maps. I don't understand. I really don't. It doesn't work. All right. This is another telling deal right here, fellas. If we sort this by, or list it by win rate, and we come all the way down here near the bottom, we find the Concept 5 hanging out, down with the K91, interesting, the 5051, Progetto T62. Who plays it? What skill level? Do they play it stock? Although this is a tier 10, so there's not a lot of that going on with stock tanks. That's all important, but let's just roll over here to the win rate differential. And you will note that it is the number one worst, 4.09 win rate differential. So it performs atrociously, even for fairly decent players at 52%. Just does not perform. I don't know. Anybody like it? You guys like it? Let me know. Let me know down below if anybody actually likes this thing. All right. I did run food as well on that thing. We'll take a look at some gameplay and then we'll wrap it up. Well, all right, gameplay for the Concept 5. We're here on, what is this place called? Himmelsklifdorf, spawned into the south. It is an encounter battle. And I'm going to show you kind of a standard game I had with this thing. As we discussed, my DPG is not great. How do you play it? Leopard-esque, I guess. I keep going back to that. You just don't have a lot of armor, although it's interesting. Based on the comparison you saw, it's got a better turret than the Leopard, but 150 is at tier 10. It might as well be 50. The only thing the 150 does is it just guarantees nobody's going to triple overmatch you. Essentially, that's about the best thing you can get from it. Decent speed. You can see I can get up in here. I wish I'd actually come across there. I might have got a shot on the CS. Trying to avoid the other Leopard there. And we're going to head up here. Now the depression's not fantastic as we saw, so this is not the easiest spot to use. But let's just think about this for a second. Like, where would I go normally with a Leopard S tank on this map? But there's not a lot of great places to go. You could snipe, all right, that is a possibility. The Leopard's back there. This is a good sniping tank, relatively anyway. The gun's pretty nice for that. So you can play it as a mobile TD if you would like to do so. The problem with being a forward medium is there's just no armor, and it is a little bit ungainly in terms of its agility. Decent speed, but it's just not a very agile tank. Its whole traverse is not great. Could swing around with the Leopard down there. You'll notice that he actually comes around the corner, but I'm just going to try to do a little bit of damage right here. See what I can do as far as, shoot guys like the 430 in the side who's trying to push up. There goes the 268-4. Need to knock that thing down because it's not kind of in the way. Could have gone around the corner to where the CS63 is. Plenty of speed to do that, but again, you just don't have any armor, so you're really trading or risking, I guess, bad trades forward against the more highly armored mediums, which is just about everybody, right? That's one of the problems with the fast tanks in this game that don't have armor, is that if you do use the speed to get to forward positions, you often find yourself in trouble because trading wise, you're just losing trades because the armor isn't there early on, especially. So what that ends up translating to is people are going to be a little bit more careful with the speedy tanks, hang out a little bit in the back. Now, once you start to get rid of some of the other tanks and guns and hit points on the board, and it thins out especially at tier 10, it thins out the absolute vision saturation that happens at tier 10, then it's more useful to have some of that speed. So great for getting into a decent position, great for getting where you need to be early, but you can also be dangerously overexposed, right, with the fast tank. So we're going to hang out here for a bit, and I just the whole time I played the 100 battles on this with this tank this is basically how I felt. I'm like, all right, I never felt dominant. Like, all right, this is a great map. This is a position that this tank will kick butt in. I'm going there, and I expect a great game. If I had good games, it was always mid to late, keeping myself alive and being able to kite some of the guys, run away, get to better positions, gobble up hit points on games that were basically won, whether or not I was playing or not, that kind of thing. Very, very frustrating tank to play in the current meta, and really the way the game is designed anyway, and in the current meta, just very, very difficult to play. To play well, I guess, is the better way to put that. Get thumped by the Super, who has a great hold down tank right there. I'm just never going to win that fight, am I? So I'm watching the donut down there. I might head over to the west if I can. Very lucky there, fellas. I mean, I balanced. I guess he probably hit my turret or gun mantlet or something like. I mean, not turret, but gun mantlet or some weird angle. There's a lot of weird angles on this tank. You find that a lot in this game, just based on the way they do the ricochets with the angles and stuff. Tanks with weird angles on them tend to get these strange bounces. It's not reliable necessarily, but every once in a while you get those really strange ones like that. Or you could have just hit the mantlet. So we got 400 damage, 237 assists, and have managed somehow to block 650 from the 705. So we did okay right there. Now I'm going to come around, and I'm thinking, all right, let's see if we can't start to harass the CS63, because I've also got a bunch of guys that have wrapped around in the northeast over there, and we have guys on the hill. So, and we've cleared off the middle pretty good. So we're in decent shape. You can see we're up 6-2. So I'm hoping I can come around here and surprise these fellers. Yeah, there's that guy. We'll hit him. Oh, boy. I sort of got lucky. Honestly, I was trying to just push out and shoot him, and he'd have hit me if I wouldn't have kind of fumbled what I was doing there. And now the 705's come around, so I don't want to get double tapped. Plus, there's a Foch involved somewhere down there. I don't think he's looking up the hill, but I'm not sure where he is. There's that decent accuracy on the gun, right? Not really fully zoomed, but pretty good. Thumped him for 424. Tank can do that to some extent, but it's only about a 0.29 accuracy. We'll look at it, or I guess I already showed it to you probably. I don't know what lit me there, and it took me a while, but it's actually the EBR, which has just raged through, and I completely missed him. Like, what is that guy doing? And I went, oh, there he is. Okay. So this took me longer than I like to think about to figure out with him. I didn't realize that he had crashed off. He's dead now, and I'm currently still thinking about where he is and how I'm going to go find him. Like, oh, can I cross over here and look for him? Is he going to light up our artillery? And then I started looking, and like, where did he go? And I don't even realize it till about right there, like a complete muppet. So that guy, I'm chasing ghosts. That guy's been dead for a good 20 seconds before I even really start to figure it out. So we got both these dudes. Like, all right, so 705, and again, we're about to see another weakness of this tank, just based on its armor. Something that happened to me quite a bit. Look at him just swing his gun, whack. So it hits me and lights me on fire. That's just great. Put a shot on him, low roll him at 396, and zap by Artie. So if you saw my miserable Monday, you saw me get hit by Artie in this thing a couple times. I spent a lot of time getting hit by Artie in this thing. It just is very soft, not particularly fast or agile. So you're going to end up getting hit by Artie way more than you want to in this thing, and it's just completely vulnerable to it. So, Workman like 2,094 damage, 1 kill, 354 assists in a game that probably, had I not even been playing and stayed on the cap, it wouldn't necessarily mattered, because we're absolutely rolling them up, and it's not like I did 6,000 damage helping roll them up. But I wanted to show this one because it's some of the problems with dealing with a tank like this in the game. Its position in the meta is difficult at best. It's not easy to play. it's easy to play in that it is fast and can get you around the map, and the gun is relatively comfortable. It is not easy to play because the design of it doesn't really fit the World of Tanks meta very well. There's only a few maps where it really excels that are wide open enough and allow you the freedom of movement to get around. There are many, many maps, channelized, funneled maps, that are absolutely brutal for it. This is a kind of half and half, a little bit open, a little bit funneled, but there's, other than a fast move forward, until you start to get rid of some of the guns, you're stuck. You're either sitting in the back, hiding in a bush, trying to snipe, or you're going to run up and cover up like I was and maybe get a couple peeks and pokes here and hope the rest of your team does well enough that it opens the map up. Those are really your choices, fellas. It's not quite fast enough to get up the hill. That might have been something I could have tried as it started to open up a little bit, so think about that. But that goes to just about any tank this is true, but especially these faster tanks like this. The mid to late game is where it's really going to start to shine. And I had some decent games. I touched 5,000 a couple times. I think I even came pretty close to finishing the 6,500 damage, 5 kills and a win in this. Close to 6,000 damage and 4 kills and something like that. But so there you go, a little bit of gameplay. All right, let's wrap it up. So there you go, guys. I wanted to show that game. That was actually my 100th game. I don't think I mentioned that, but that was the 100th game right there. And I thought it was good because it's just how I felt playing this tank the whole time. Just very average. I actually got about my average DPG, which is bad for tier 10 at 2,000. I don't think there's much else to say about it. It's just a worse Leopard. I'm curious what you guys think. Is there something is there a niche that this thing occupies that you think is pretty good? And it could be that, okay, Guido, you're playing it badly as a Leopard. I'll buy that, and I'll probably self-identify on that one that yes, I don't play Leopard type style very well. I'm usually up front too much. I am impatient, etc. That being said, I just didn't find it, even when I was playing it well, it just didn't seem like that great of a tank. I like the mobility, I like the gun, probably don't like nearly anything else about it. So there you go, the old Concept 5. I am very glad to be done with my 100 battles on that one because I will probably never play this tank again. That is all I've got. You guys have a great one. See you later.